Call of Duty Black Ops 7 dev responds to lazy accusations in Battlefield 6. Let's all have fun. Speaking to IGN ahead of Black Ops 7's opening night live 2025 reveal, Associate Creative Director Miles Leslie said, Treyarch tries to shut out the noise and focus on delivering the best game possible. You just don't worry about it, right? Leslie said when asked about the lazy claims, the generative AI that they've been exploring and the fact that all of their games feel recycled, and they literally have been recycling a lot of content over the years to the point where it's like, why are we even being charged $70 at this point for these experiences? I get it, Game Pass, blah, 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 but the other platforms, it just doesn't make sense. When we start, it's not like, what are they going to think? It's like, we have a vision. We're going to hit that vision, and there's always going to be people that are going to try to knock you down and not have positive criticism. I love this industry. They love their positive criticism. They definitely listen to that, don't they? They don't, which we do look for. So it's like noise, right? You try to cut through that and stick to your vision and plan. And while there has been enormous excitement and anticipation surrounding the new Battlefield experience, this is what they had to say in response to that. As for the threat of Battlefield 6, we asked Leslie if DICE's game pushes Treyarch on, or even if the developer thinks about the game at all. Leslie said he'd played DICE's games, but is focused squarely on Black Ops 7. I got to play this weekend. It's a fun game. We're fans of all games, and I think we look for inspiration anywhere. But we're focused on our own craft. Are you though? Are you though? Maybe the developers are, but the executives at the very least seem to not give a shit at all about Battlefield 6 because they deem Call of Duty too big to fail, which is a very ignorant statement. But hey, I mean, Call of Duty, this is a franchise that no matter what, as bad as it gets, still somehow sells about 20 or so million copies. Although under Xbox, I think those numbers are a little different, but still, there's a lot of Call of Duty players active to this day. And Call of Duty Black Ops 7 was supposedly developed in parallel to Black Ops 6, Treyarch says. Now, I think people need to understand, the last time we had back-to-back, games made for the same franchise, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, it was an absolute disaster. Them saying this almost feels like damage control, because they said that, they started at the same time. And logically, when you look at the first trailer, the first reveal of everything, this still looks very Black Ops 6-esque, and it definitely feels like these developers are being burnt out because Activision needs to push out a product every single year. Unfortunately, nothing has changed under Microsoft leadership, and it doesn't seem like that's going to change into the future. The hopes for a prototype experience probably are dead, unfortunately. But this is the Black Ops 7 reveal, and it is being mocked endlessly online, roasted, and a lot of people are upset because of the state of the FPS genre and the fact that Call of Duty somehow still rules it, but they just do not respect their audience at all. And I'm not really going to show much of this trailer, but it leans into weird, crazy stuff. You got like swords flying down in the background right there. Like it's weird, especially with this being a follow-up to Black Ops 2, in which now Raul Menendez is alive, supposedly. And then there's, they have a double jump now. There's no wall running. They're doing a double jump, or it's a wall jump, I guess. Very interesting ideas that they're throwing into this. They lean into the mystical stuff, and as it may not surprise anybody, this is being mass downvoted, has over 120,000 dislikes, and the comments reflect that opinion. They actually made me pre-order Battlefield 6 from a CoD player. Thank you for making it easy to choose Battlefield 6. Can't even have a trailer without showing off bundles. Oh yeah, that's there at the end. We'll talk about that in a second. People say CoD is getting too much hate. I personally think they aren't getting enough, and I actually agree with that sentiment. EA is probably going to throw a giant party tonight. This reminds me of that time when CoD Infinite Warfare had to compete against Battlefield 1 2016. History is repeating itself, and Infinite Warfare got enormous hate because, again, the franchise had not been respecting its audience and really hadn't been doing much. And like you said, the last time we had a Call of Duty experience which actually pleasantly surprised me was probably Modern Warfare 2019. It's been a minute. It has been a minute. And the dissatisfaction has been growing. And look, there has not been a competitor that really brought it to Call of Duty in a long time. Do I think Battlefield 6 is going to be, this enormous success that outsells Call of Duty? Probably not. But it definitely can take a chunk of that player base away. And I think at this point it is deserved. So I am hoping that Battlefield 6 ends up being, a good experience. That beta had some issues there, but there was definitely a lot of positives. For one, it actually felt like Battlefield. It's quite incredible. I think Activision needs to be studied with how they literally learn nothing and how they can be so tone deaf to the community. I've never seen anything like it. I have seen it. It's the AAA games industry personified with this everything. Best advertisement for Battlefield 6. I expected nothing and still managed to be disappointed. The trailer is a perfect summary of everything I hate about CoD and not a single thing I like. And it goes on, just brutally, yeah. Like I said, 10 million views, 100,000 dislikes. The numbers, Masons, what do they mean? Thanks for saving me $70, so on and so forth. But look, Call of Duty, the last time we talked about it, it was this. Like I said, every time we're talking about this franchise, it's always some sort of new scandal, and it was the fact that Steam exposed the fact that Call of Duty has been using AI-generated assets, something that they didn't want to acknowledge. And surely enough, Black Ops 7 is already getting that label, even before all the new cosmetic yeah, they've been using... It would be really interesting to see what specific aspects of the experience is just AI-generated. I think that we'd be surprised with how much of the experience is now using AI generative tools for their creative ideas to give their vision for gamers, which I think at this point they've just run out of ideas to experiment with. And unfortunately, though, it doesn't seem like they at all want to listen to what players actually want. And that is a trend that has only continued, and it will continue with Black Ops 7. Now, yeah, Call of Duty development structure won't change under Microsoft. This has become clear since this Activision Blizzard merger happened. I really was hoping we'd see, other experiences come about non-Call of Duty, but it really has not gone that way. They still have their 15 different Activision studios focused just on Call of Duty. And yeah, Phil Spencer with his whole, we're going to bring back old IPs, Prototype, Hexen. He was infamously in that shirt with Hexen. That has not transpired, and there has not been any reports that they're working on anything actively right now, which just makes me extremely disappointed because some of the small things I was hoping from this merger just have not turned out. It's just pretty much the same thing that has been going on with Activision. Even all the layoffs and all of the chaos, nothing has really gotten better at all. It is worth mentioning that one of the big things that has been criticized the last number of months is the greed, and also the cosmetic bundles that they just cannot stop adding. Stuff that doesn't make any sense to be in Call of Duty, but unfortunately Activision they want this to be adult Fortnite, and they want players to be okay with that. But unfortunately, a lot of the COD player base remembers a better time in which, a military sim was that, a military sim. And say what you want, Call of Duty, Battlefield, all of these executives of these companies want adult Fortnite because that brings in tons and tons of revenue. So everything that Activision and all of these other development teams are saying in response to this stuff, they can say what they want, but it's quite clear. The money is rolling in, and this is what they want. They want adult Fortnite to continue and players to kind of shut up about it. I mean, that's the best way to put this into perspective. And yeah, this was something that was a couple months ago. They added bundle ads. Like I said, they are trying to find any way that they can add any sort of more monetization opportunities. Throwing more ads in player space, that is one of their big missions. They're going to continue that into the future. Now, this was a big controversy 3 months ago, and they responded with this, saying a UI feature test surface select store content, the loadout menus, was published in the Season 4 update in error. It's always an update in error, something like slimy monetization. It's always just an error. Not like it was maybe, an experiment and something that they truly were trying to push forward. They intended that. This feature, it is a feature, has now been removed from the live game, and I would not be surprised to see that return maybe into the future. Hey, maybe it is gone for now because of all the controversy. They were just trying to see if the Call of Duty fan base would ignore it, and surely enough, they did not this time around. But look, Call of Duty has been struggling. Say what you will. There's a lot of dissatisfaction that has been growing with this franchise, and it is because the last number of titles have disappointed in a variety of different ways. But yeah, Black Ops 6 is a great example of how much it's suffered. It shows that the Call of Duty player count it's the lowest in years despite record-breaking launch. Microsoft loves to talk about that record-breaking launch, but they don't like to talk about the months that follow. And Call of Duty, definitely a lot of players are searching for a great FPS experience, and the one thing that Call of Duty has benefited the last number of years is just not having a strong competitor. Finally, though, they may have that with Battlefield 6, and I think that may be telling for maybe Call of Duty Black Ops 7's performance in the next coming months to be. We'll see, obviously, on that, and that obviously really depends on how good or, maybe not good Battlefield 6 ends up being, but I really do hope that it is a wake-up call for this franchise. Now, it is worth mentioning that This is what Call of Duty has been known for. This is the only thing people are talking about with this franchise. It's these ridiculous fucking asinine crossovers, whether that be Nicki Minaj, American Dad, Family Guy, whatever. It's stuff that does not make any sense. People love American Dad. People love Family Guy. They don't need to and don't want to see this shit in Call of Duty. And look, they've also had some other stuff over the last couple of months. They had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover. That was something as well. And it's also funny because there's a greed that is associated with this, because there's controversy with this because of the price tag. Because if you wanted all of these characters and the full crossover, you had to spend almost $100. Like I said, this franchise is all about monetization these days. I'm surprised they haven't brought back loot boxes, and I feel like that has to be the next thing that they try to reintroduce and get the fan base behind. But yeah, look, this is what Activision is making right now. This is a report that came just a couple of years ago. $5 billion from microtransactions and DLC. So as much as I'm upset by that, and maybe yourself, this is the stuff that they're making their money from. That's why, like, Diablo and all these other franchises, why they explore all these, crazy cosmetics, and they're overpriced, of course, but people are buying them. And unfortunately, we, the larger player base that really doesn't interact with stuff like that, just have to deal with it. Or at least right now, voice our displeasure to these developers and at least hear what they have to say, because I don't believe for a second that they're going to stop with this nonsense, because it's making them too much money. And look, this is what Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is already fucking advertising. The Vault Edition, they've got all the nonsense already here day one. And as this person says, rightfully, what happened to COD? This looks like a mobile game, because that's what this is turned into. If you actually played Call of Duty Mobile, they have even more crazy stuff, and I think that's what this franchise wants to be. And they truly just want people to be A-okay with that. But yeah, this was actually very interesting. Modern Warzone, another Call of Duty influencer, one of those, they talk about Call of Duty. During our visit to Treyarch for Black Ops 7, they made it clear to us that they're keeping a close eye on the community. Yes, because they care about this feedback about skins and cosmetics in Call of Duty leaning too far to the wacky side. Keep giving your feedback about it. They are watching. No, they're looking at that number. If, they start to see a massive slide in players, and, maybe a lot of people continue to go to Battlefield 6 or some of the other FPSs that are on the way, that'll probably get them to maybe make some decisions like this. But I do wonder, some people have theorized maybe they're just going to make it that maybe on our player side that we don't have to see it, but those who, buy the content themselves will see it from their point of view, or something along those lines. We'll see. But I do think this is extremely hypocritical, them saying this shit, when this is literally the Vault Edition, Day 1 edition that they're going to be introducing. And on that note, they're also introducing Black Ops 7 Carry Forward. And it's pretty much that all operators, bundles, and other Black Ops 6 content, including the American Dad, Beavis, and fucking Butthead, yeah, they're all going to be there when Season 1 launches, which is, it's just massively conflicts with this. Like, yeah, we're carefully looking at the community feedback in which it's widespread that the overall gaming community is dissatisfied with this direction. They don't care about it. They truly don't. But look, this is what people have been saying. The year is 2025. You're playing Call of Duty. Seth Rogen just double jumped 12 feet in the air off a wall and killed you with a unicorn dildo. There was also a unicorn cosmetic that had them farting in your face. Like I said, this franchise, I don't know what has happened to it in the last couple of years. Like I said, it really has embraced that label of adult Fortnite. And look, say what you will about the cosmetic controversy and everything, even Black Ops 7 alone, the previews that we're seeing aren't exactly very remarkable. This is coming from comicbook.com. I spent a day with Black Ops 7, but as a lifelong COD player, I left feeling underwhelmed. And I thought this was a really interesting piece because of two sections from this. Despite all the mystery surrounding the story, the campaign, the 4-hour campaign, it's always like 4 to 6 hours, and how much I love Call of Duty campaigns, the gameplay rang hollow. It was a lot of shooting without much substance, Warzone-esque colored weapons, oh god, that integration, could be seen on the ground, and characters can pick up abilities such as the one that lets you jump extremely high like in Advanced Warfare, suggesting some level of choice in the gameplay. However, it seemed like the typical Call of Duty illusion of freedom and sandbox gameplay, but with a tight leash. Additionally, although falling machetes are wild, it's not the kind of cinematic set piece that Call of Duty does best. I just kept thinking about how I don't know if I'm interested in visiting the Funhouse mirror versions of old Black Ops 2 levels. I'm still intrigued and I will play it, but I have tempered my expectations a bit. And then he goes on to mention some of the changes that they've made to the multiplayer, and again, it's just a lot of stuff that I don't know how people are getting excited for this at all, and it seems like most of the Call of Duty fanbase is not excited at all. Given Black Ops 7 was developed in parallel with Black Ops 6, you know, my feelings on that, it appears to be a more refined version of that game with a futuristic twist, which, last time I heard that, maybe not the futuristic twist, it was Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3, and we know how that ended up. Probably Modern Warfare 3, I think, is one of the worst Call of Duty, or one of the worst FPSs I've ever played. It was a massive headache. I started to get the sense that Black Ops 7 may be afraid of making too many big definitive additions with its multiplayer as we learned more about it. Yeah, a risk-adverse franchise. That doesn't surprise me at this point, because that's what Call of Duty has been for a while now. For years, tactical sprint has been another divisive topic among Call of Duty fans. Instead of removing it entirely, Treyarch has made it an optional perk. Similarly, if you want to aim down sights while wall jumping, running, or sliding, you'll need a perk for that too. The twitchier, faster movement has been made an option, which means the default gameplay will likely be slightly slowed down compared to previous games. Want your score streaks to loop? Yeah, that's actually going to be a perk too. Even the Advanced Warfare style Mega Jump is an equipable ability in the campaign rather than part of the core movement. It's clear that a lot of the more dicey elements of Call of Duty have just been segregated to perks this time. That's the innovation. That's the vision with Black Ops 7. Throwing a lot of, all this stuff is now perks. When you look at that in conjunction with the half-baked wall jump, it feels like a Call of Duty game that is afraid of making too many big definitive decisions, with the exception of excluding the Pick 10 system that fans want to see return, and Treyarch just outright said that they rejected that, and they don't want to do it, which is, I think, kind of dumb, but it's writing a line that tries to appeal to as many different kinds of Call of Duty players as possible, but at the cost of feeling less interesting. That broad appeal, that is what these franchises, it's not just Call of Duty, it's all of these massive franchises. They're ditching their core audience for this broadening appeal, and it ruins these franchises. It's one of these things that just does not get discussed enough, but it is frustrating seeing so many of these awesome franchises turn to what Call of Duty is nowadays. And I get it, maybe this is kind of a given with a franchise that has to have a new entry every single year, but I don't know, at least when Microsoft purchased it, I was under the impression that we're going to see maybe Call of Duty take some time off to give themselves maybe some more creative, time to think about new things that they can introduce, but it feels like we're just rushing these entries out. And I guarantee Black Ops 7, there'll be an expose a number of months later saying, oh, they were rushing to complete this and get this all together so they could launch it here in the fall, because that's what this franchise is all about, just making sure it is released. But yeah, like I said, there's been some footage going around from the campaign and some of the stuff. We see, the heights on those wall jumps. We see this person. Yeah, it looks like you can go pretty high. Actually, I do think this is actually part of the multiplayer. Although it's not wall running, it's wall jumping. It's just so dumb to me. Why not just go all the way with wall running if you're going to do it? It's something that was featured in the past entries. I just don't get it. And yeah, as this person says, I just don't understand why they didn't do wall running if they were going to do this. It's mind-boggling in my opinion. And Treyarch developers told us the wall jumping in Black Ops 7 is currently limited to 2 jumps in a row, but says that they've experimented with 3 or even unlimited. There's also a subsequent height reduction for each jump, similar to what we have currently in Call of Duty. And as this person perfectly summarizes, random gimmicks and minuscule changes are the only thing that differentiate COD titles at this point. With a whole unified shit, I need Warzone and COD HQ to die immediately. And I do think the identity of these Call of Duty franchises have been lost because of this, unified integration. So Black Ops and Modern Warfare used to be distinctly different, and that's no longer the case. And these are some of the other notable changes. Again, it's all minuscule shit. No manual doors, no tactical sprint by default. Again, it's a perk. Wall jumping, specialist bonuses return. Looping score streak via perk. That should not be a perk. I just don't understand that. No aim down sight while sliding, diving, or wall jumping by default. Dexterity perk allows this. Again, another thing that's hidden behind a perk. And then, there's some other stuff. Field upgrade, you get an active camo to go along with the other skins that you already can't fucking see on the screen. And I love this one. Xbox One and PS4 users are cooked when someone uses this. I just don't understand why these games are still releasing for those consoles at this point. And like I said, this franchise loves its nostalgia bait because, Black Ops 7 is going to be having 3 Black Ops 2 maps at launch, Hijacked, Express, and Raid. They're like I guess there's a little bit of a twist with it, with them being centered, like, I think on like a Japanese setting or something. I just don't really care, because this franchise, it's all it does. It just leans heavily on nostalgia these days. And these are some of the leaks that have come about from the Ghost of Hope. The new Ground War type mode in Black Ops 7 is trash. Heard the wingsuit is cool though. And then this is a leak that got out. It's the Warzone integration. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will reportedly have a final campaign mission that is a 32-player extraction-based shooter mission where players can lose all gears if they die in it. It's reportedly taking place on the entire Avalon map, which is like the new Warzone map. Again, the integration with this franchise, it really has ruined a lot of things. But they also had a deep dive video. I'm not really going to go into this because a lot of the details we just went over were featured here or talked about by Treyarch developers. But very interesting to see that dislike to like bar still 9.6 to 16,000 likes. You can compare that to the initial debut trailer, and it's got a little bit more likes. At least the like to dislike ratio is a little bit better. But yeah, 32,000 likes on that reveal trailer to 120,000. That's absolutely brutal. But yeah, this deep dive is the same thing. The comment section pretty much. I can't wait to see Beavis and Butthead while running backwards, while jumping. Devs are more excited than the player base. I feel so bad for the developers. They probably being told to do what their bosses want, not what they want. I mean, that's how this franchise has been for a long time. If you thought skill-based matchmaking was bad before, this time we're cranking it up even more. They always say they listen to feedback. They need to stop lying. Yeah, it goes on and on. All these comments, there's barely, I don't think I've seen any positivity in any of these comments so far. They pulled a Palpatine. This year is 2035 and somehow Menendez is back. It's very hard. I don't see any positive comments here at all. I think that just shows you the growing dissatisfaction from the COD player base. But yeah, Black Ops 7 weighs 204 gigabytes. Yeah, if you want to download this, it's a decision that you have to make because they include so much fucking space. And I get it has COD HQ and all that other BS that you have to have. Very much annoying, and yeah, it is a decision if you're going to have Call of Duty installed or not. Maybe that's a deliberate thing, maybe or maybe not, but I do think this is rather interesting. The COD player base being asked by one of these influencers, are you more excited for Battlefield 6 or Black Ops 7? And yeah, 71 to 29, that is rather interesting, and some other polls have come about from other fan bases. And yeah, Call of Duty fans say they're more hyped for Battlefield 6 than Black Ops 7. And I really don't think that's surprising based on everything that we've seen so far of Black Ops 7, which just looks extremely underwhelming. And yeah, there's Google data even here that shows that the interest in Battlefield is far superior to Call of Duty. But look, it's been a while since we had a good Battlefield experience, and this is the first time in a while that there is some hope there's going to be an FPS alternative to Call of Duty. And I think that really is good for this genre. And this is a sentiment that was shared by former Blizzard president Mike Ybarra, in which he predicted that Battlefield 6 was going to boot stomp Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And he did take it a step further, saying that Call of Duty would stop being lazy, and they were going to have to improve moving forward. And I really do think that this is a good thing for the FPS genre, because unfortunately Call of Duty is still going to have these yearly releases. Obviously nothing is changing under Microsoft, but I think gamers and everybody deserves better than what we're getting right now and soon with Black Ops 7. But anyway, Black Ops 7's reveal, probably a big disaster. That's what I would deem it right now. It's right up there with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and the last couple of years it's just been massive disappointment after massive disappointment. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, especially in my mind, were very frustrating with the direction that they took, especially their campaign. It's just a lot of questionable decisions coming down from Activision, but hey, they love to look at their numbers and say, we still got 20-30 million players. They certainly do not respect that audience, unfortunately. But look, it's just very difficult to pinpoint anything about Black Ops 7 that has me excited. I guess the one thing I could say, Richtofen, Nikolai, Dempsey, and the rest of that crew, that gets me excited. Zombies, but outside of that, it just looks like a real mess. What do you make of Black Ops 7? What do you make of the reveal? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you going to be playing Battlefield 6 or Black Ops 7 or another experience this fall? Let me know down below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.